Welcome to District 101 Great Events. Our speaker today, Ramesh Dewangan, is the founder and CEO of Quantum Vision Consulting and a leadership coach for mid-level professions. He's a best-selling author and a certified coach, speaker, and a trainer. He has led global teams in software development, product management, and marketing in his 30 plus years of career. He has he has an MBA from the Haas School of Business, University of California, Berkeley, and electrical engineering from NITK, India. Please help me welcome our distinguished Toastmaster, Ramesh Dewangan. Ramesh, it's all you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks, Abhijit, for such a great introduction. Let me start with a story. Many years ago, I used to work in a multinational called Texas Instruments. I was leading a project at that time, which was international collaboration with the university called University of Texas, Austin. I hope you have heard the university. And there was a great professor there who I worked with, and his name is Larry Pileggi. This picture belongs to him and his family. I made very good rapport with him, and we really hit off. We connected well. We shared stories about our background. In fact, he told me that his actual name was Larry Pileggi, but it really didn't reflect his heritage. So he changed it to Larry Pileggi, which is where his family name. Over the years, I interacted a lot. We really did some great things, but we lost touch. After that, we absolutely weren't in touch for almost a decade or more. Then I came to US back in 96, and I joined a company called Synopsys. Within 2 weeks of my joining, I see a notice on the notice board saying that Professor Larry Pileggi will be giving a luncheon talk. Now that one was very exciting to me because I really wanted to meet my friend from the past. He was a very popular person among engineering community. So when I reached the room for the luncheon talk, I found the room was already full, so full that it was all standing room. So I really found a place to stand in a corner of the room. And professor came to the stage. He looked around this crowded room and he said, Ramesh, when did you come to US? That was a thrilling moment in my life because he recognized me in the middle of so many people. And nobody in the room knew me then because I was very new to the company. I was barely 2 weeks old in that company. Then everybody started turned their eyes on me. Who is this guy who the professor knows? And not only during the talk, after the talk, a lot of people came to me and they say, "Hey, could you introduce us and could we, talk further?" And my influence suddenly rose up after that incident. Connecting skills is one of the most important skills for a leader. This skill really helped me all throughout my leadership career. Let's look at a few of the industry studies that is done. One industry study says that there is a direct correlation between achievement and the ability to care for and connect with people. I didn't say that. It was a study published by Jay Hall, who is PhD in teleometrics. And he interviewed more than 16,000 executives. So there's a direct correlation. Those who connect well, they lead well. They have huge influence. They have more followers. They have more impact. And they're known not only within the organization, but outside the organization. If you really look at, looks like something is getting cut off. Let me just adjust. Sorry. If you look at the presidents, US presidents that have been done, there was a study done by Robert Dallek. He's a presidential historian. He concluded that there are 5 skills and qualities of successful US presidents. And they're listed here. But if you really look at all the 5, at least 4 of them, if not all 5 of them, have to do with connecting. If you really look at vision, for example, you cannot create a vision and share the vision and align the vision if you don't connect with people. You can't have charisma if you don't connect with people. You absolutely cannot have trustworthiness if you don't connect with people. You cannot build consensus if you don't connect with people. So you can see that great leadership requires connecting as a core skill. So let's start this session with assessing yourself. I want to hear from you. Where do you think you are on the connecting skills scale? How do you rate your own connecting skills from 1 to 10? Say 1 is no connecting skill at all, and 10 being master in communicating, 5 being an average. Where do you think you are? And put it in the chat window. Let's see, am I in the middle of elite here? Or, I've got someone who will listen to me today. Why don't you go ahead? Great, super. Wow, I have got some great connectors here in the audience. There are some who can do more. Awesome, awesome. Maybe you can give me some good inputs about how to you are connecting as well as we go through this process. So there are 5 specific aspects or tips that I'll provide for connecting better and how effective leaders connect better. And they are faith in people, understanding behavioral patterns, 3rd, finding common grounds, 4th is conversation starters, and 5th is energy that you put in connecting. Let me go through each one of them. Let us start with faith in people. Before I show a short clip video, let me tell you that having faith in people is one of the fundamental qualities that you need to develop to be able to connect. There are 4 facts regarding faith of people that John C. Maxwell, the leadership guru, talks about. 1, there are many people who don't have faith in themselves. That is one of the universal truth, unfortunate truth. People don't have faith in themselves. 2nd is that even if they have a little bit faith in themselves, they don't have people around them who have the faith in themselves, in them. For example, I had some friends who were great singers, but their parents thought that's a waste of time. What are you doing? They never really trusted his talent on them. So 2nd is, even if you have faith in yourself, you have people around you who don't have faith in you. 3rd principle about faith is that people understand if you have faith in them. They observe your body language. They observe the way you look at them. They observe your helpfulness. They observe your presence, mindful presence. They observe your listening skills. All of that contributes to people knowing that you may think that, hey, I care from them, but I don't know if they know. They absolutely know. If you care for someone, they will know. And 4th principle about faith is, if people know that you have faith in them, they will surpass your expectation. This is universal truth. So that's why having faith in people is extremely important. Let's watch a small clip on this. So as you saw, that she believed that the artist had faith in her, even though she was a small child. And not many people probably could even believe that she could do something like that. But she turned out to do a great job just because the artist had a faith in her. So there are three types of people out there in the workplace, if you normally find, even in personal life. Okay. First type of people, they focus on people and profits. They are very optimistic about people, they actively seek out from team members, they actively listen, and they are very proactively in appreciating. That is one spectrum. On it, other end of the spectrum is their focus is more on security of his or her own, or having distrust. I don't know if these people can really do the things or not having faith, or they do not seek the advice from team members. They avoid listening because they think they know the best, and they seldom appreciate. So if you look at this whole spectrum, very simply, the type 1 are the high achievers. And type 3, the rightmost, are the low achievers. And the middle, your average achievers. So you can yourself assess this and check where you stand. Do you have some areas of growth in connecting with people, in having faith in people, and become a better achiever? The next quality or the skill or tip I have regarding connecting is personality profiling or behavioral pattern. If you really look at people around you, they fall under 4 major personalities. There are several methods of personality profiling. This method is called DISC method, D-I-S-C, where it says that most people fall in 4 personalities. They may have combination of personalities, but they have one dominant personality. First is stands for dominant personality. Dominant personality is direct, decision makers, task oriented, strong willed, forceful, not so people oriented, don't have a whole lot of patience. They're the D type. I type are more influencing kind. They're outgoing, they're enthusiastic, they're collaborative. They want to be around people. They talk a lot. They socialize. They're all about feelings. But they also could be very distracted. They do a lot of things in parallel, but not necessarily want to be held accountable for a specific outcome. S people are more steady, stable, trustworthy, relationship oriented. They will do the task that is given to them very diligently. They are passive, they're quieter. They don't want to be stressed. They don't want too many changes. They don't want any forceful communication. That is S type. And C type are the analyst people, the compliant or conscientious. They're analytical, deep dive kind of people who go through every step very much in detail. If you ask them for a status report, you might get 10-page report. They absolutely believe that in quality. They take pride in their expertise. They love to talk to people who are expert in some areas, and they will share ideas. They love to attend talks. They want to give talks. That's C people. So the idea is that if you understand the pattern of the behavior around you, you can customize and improve the way you interact with them and the way you connect with them. It really helps to know what kind of personality they are. For example, if you figured out that someone is a D type, then you can connect better if you don't spend too much time on chit-chatting with the person, or have some kind of a social talk going on. You don't go to D and say, okay, you know what, last time you told me that your son-in-law wasn't getting job. Did he get job? He'll say, come to the point, come to the point. I want to talk about project, not about my son-in-law at this time, right? There is a time to talk about those things. That could be happy hour on a Friday evening, but not during the whole day. Likewise, if a C person or D person goes to I and says, hey, what is the status of the project? Are we on the step number 3? This is where we're supposed to be. And the I with person will say, what is going on here? Aren't you guys human? Why don't you ask about how is family doing? How is it? Did you know that my wife was hospitalized 2 weeks ago? I told you these guys, they don't even ask about it. What's going on? These guys don't really respect feelings. That's what I think. So again, the idea is that the more you know about this behavioral pattern and personalities of the people, the better you can connect with them. The way you approach to D is very different from the way you approach to S. Likewise, the way you approach to I is very different from the way you approach to C. For example, if you want to really connect with C person, and you're going for some kind of a meeting or some discussion on a specific data, do your homework. You have to absolutely have analyzed all the aspects of the data, alternative analysis done, be clear about the steps, and then go to C and then start discussion. C will love you for that. So you'll say, I got someone I can really talk to now. And I really can connect, and you can have a lot better influence on C person. Similarly, S people are very passive, very, very relationship oriented, trustworthy. But they don't want to be hurried up or to be seeing too many changes. So you don't go to S person and say, you know what? I talked to you about 10-step process yesterday. Today, things have completely changed. Now it is a 5-step process. 5 steps are cut. S is going to be stressed right there. S will be like, what is going on? Why do you keep making so many changes? Oh my God, now I have to learn this new thing again. And I don't know how to do this 5-step instead of 10-step, all that. So you want to take it very step by step with the S person. You want to give time. You want to give more information. You want to give more training. You want to align them before you make too many changes. Then you'll connect well with this people. Let's look at a small clip, which is more in lighter vein about this.
I'm going to begin with a story. Everybody loves a good story. The other day I was out running errands and I needed to go by the bank to make a deposit. As I got out of my air-conditioned car, I felt the wave of heat and realized that today was going to be a real scorcher. Walking by some of the other cars in the parking lot, I noticed a small puppy in the front seat of a car, and the windows weren't even cracked to let in the cool air. I remember thinking, I sure hope the owner will be back soon. When I got inside the bank, the line was almost back to the door. There were probably 30 people ahead of me, and the line was moving very slowly. To the right of the line, there were a few offices with windows facing the lobby. On one of these windows, there was a row of those motivational posters. You've seen them before. They have a pretty picture and a big bold word and a description underneath. This particular one was a picture of a lake with a guy rowing across it, and in big letters it said, well, you probably guessed it. That's right, passion. You see, without passion, we just wander aimlessly through life. We need a reason to get up in the morning and a reason to go to work and be the best we can possibly be. As I stood in that line, waiting for what seemed like it had to be 37 minutes, I was reminded of a time when my doctor told me I had to cut out dairy because of the lactose. While he was telling me this, my mind started to wonder.
Okay, full disclosure. This video is actually a personality test. If you're wondering if this guy is ever going to make a point, chances are you're a D. If you're still thinking about the 2-minute story you're going to deliver at the end, you're probably an I.
No, it was Mr. Grendelman. And no, it was Mr. Farnsworth.
If all you can think about is a fictitious puppy and a hot car, you might be an S.
Actually, it was Wyoming.
If all the mistakes and incongruencies in the graphics are driving you crazy, you're most likely a C.
Reminds me of Mr. Grendelman. He was from Idaho also. He was my favorite teacher. I can still remember what he taught. It was math. Actually, I think it was English.
You get the point.
It's funny.
I found it hilarious, actually. Those are real stuff. If there is some things like that, that's how the reaction will be. Of the D will be different, I will be different, and S, and that's one good way to find out the people around you, to see who is what type of personality. So let's spend some
I'm
time.
going to begin.
Okay, now that I talked a lot already, I'll give you a few minutes to find out, or at least analyze your own personality style. Are you D, more I, more S, or C? Can you spend some time and think about, reflect, and tell me, or type it here in the chat window? And if you're very clear about it already, then think about your manager and see what style that person is. And that will really give a very good idea as to how you guys are interacting and how challenging it is at your workplace, and so on. I'll give you a few minutes for this exercise. Ravina says she's S and manager is D. Now you can see you guys are diametrically opposite. So it is
Very much
interesting.
so, Ramesh. Very obvious.
Yeah, so that gets even more challenging, right?
Mhm.
Because one thing I forgot to tell you is that D and C people are more task-oriented people. S and I are more people-oriented. So that itself is one major conflict. And S and C people are more reserved people. And I and D people are more outgoing people. So that's another level of conflict. So I and D have two levels of conflict right there. Okay, Salita thinks you're evenly between D and I. It's good to know. Yeah. And D and I means you're very outgoing, very good, Salita. At the same time, you have to be very careful about how interacting with S and C people, right? Is between I and C. Okay, so you're more people-oriented, right? Compared to task-oriented. So you have to strategize to deal with people with task orientation. Okay, I think you get the idea. And once you've got the personality idea, then you may also want to think about one thing that you can do to improve the way you interact with your boss or with a spouse or anyone who is of different personality, and see how you can do better. I gave you some tips about some other things you need to keep in mind. Other thing I forgot to tell also is that this is not necessarily related to verbal communication. It is also in written communication, emails, chat messages, whatever you do, you have to be careful. So in email, for example, if you're writing to D person an email, you don't want to jump, you want to jump into the project details, project technical detail, task details pretty quickly. You don't want to chit chat and say, oh, it has been a long time, I haven't seen you. Oh my God, it's so nice always to talk to you. And they'll say, wait a minute, come to the point, right? Likewise, exactly opposite with I person. Don't start, what is the status of step number 3 in project number 4? You'll be put off. You'll say, you know what, I'll reply to this person 2 days later as a punishment. Because he doesn't like it. He wants to first have the social connection. So to I person, when you write, you want to start with some social things, friendly chat, small talk. Okay, so let's move on. So we covered so far the faith in people, number 1, number 2, the behavioral patterns or personality profiling. Now let's go to the third one, right communication. We have to understand that there is a way to make communication with proper connection. I think this study is something that is very popular, which says that 93% of our impact, the way we communicate, comes not from the words we speak, but it comes from our body language and our tone that we use. So you know how to make connection if you can focus on body language and the tonal aspects of your communication. Unfortunately, we spend a lot of time in wordsmithing our speeches, whether this word will be better or that word will be better, and we are trying to see, okay, is there a better word? Thing is, words have only limited impact. It's the way you say that makes the impact. Let's look at a short clip from Toastmasters International World Champion Public Speaker, who gives some tips about how to make better impact.
My dad came up to me and said, son, it's okay. You flunked your exams. You already got arrested.
One of the most important things that you need to realize is when you get nervous, you try to cover your vital organs. And that's why you would see a lot of speakers sometimes fold their hands, bring their hands in front of them, and that's a sign of nervousness. Great speakers keep their body open, so there is no barrier between you and me.
Raise your hand if you have an emotional mother. Let me see. Put them all together, you get mama.
And something that when you're starting out, you got to be very conscious about is keep your body open. Here's tip number 2. Have your palms open. Do this exercise with me. Take a look at your palms. Turn them around. Take a look at the inside of your palms again. What side relaxes your eye? If you really concentrate, when you look at the inside of your palm, your eye relaxes. And a lot of great speakers, they open their palms towards the audience, showing a more openness. And that allows the audience to connect with the speaker better, as opposed to showing the back of your hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm a dreamer, I'm a speaker, and I learned the unfailing quality of unconditional love from my wife.
Number 3, get comfortable with the stage. When you're comfortable on the stage that you're speaking on, your body is free to move about, use body language. But if you're not comfortable with that stage, and if you feel foreign on that stage, what happens is your body language starts to constrict and you start to cover your body up.
And when a son sees a mother cry tears of shame, that's a life-changing moment. She looked at me and said, son, I want you to be a better man.
Whatever you do, don't touch the podium. As soon as you do that, you're going to be leaning on it, you're going to be shaking that podium, and you will be doing all sorts of things on the podium. So what you do is you keep a comfortable distance between you and the podium. You can keep your notes on it, but you can use your hands to gesture. Don't rest your hands on the podium. So keep a distance, and you can gesture, use body language as you want from a little distance from the podium.
So these are some tips I felt was as important to connect with people. So when you talk, if you have got no barrier between the person you're talking and yourself, then you can connect better. If you keep your palms open, then it gives an indication that you are open to connecting with others. So there are simple 5 tips that I have for speaking like a leader or connecting with speaking. Keep the message simple. Don't speak in jargons. Don't make it complex, overly complex. They say the best leadership quality of very high-level management is that they can speak in your language. Even the most toughest, complex concepts, they can explain in a very, very simple language. If you can develop that, that is going to go a long way in connecting with people. Engaging your listeners, choosing right words, making sure you're understood, and body language. Those are all important. Now let's go to the next, third aspect of connecting skills. Finding common ground. Connectors connect on common ground. If you can find common ground with the person, you will connect better. But a lot of people have difficulty finding common ground. Somebody will say, what common ground do I have with this person? I have no idea what that person is, very different background, blah, 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 all that. So there are huge barriers. Here are 4 different barriers that people have in finding common ground. First is assumption, prejudices, something they already made make impression of others. Already know more than this guy. I don't know what this guy will know. How will he know better than I do? Already you're making assumption and you're cutting off the opportunity to connect. Even if somebody is a new team member, junior team member, you have a lot to learn from such members because they know so much. Today, everyone has exposed to so many different resources. You may not know everything the person knows. Second is arrogance. I don't need to know what this guy has to tell. Indifference, I don't care, or control. These are all aspects which really prevent finding common ground. Let's watch a short clip, and this clip I really like because this is a real life scenario that happens in our workplaces on how 2 people connect.
Hey, Mary, got some more reports from procurement for you to process. Sort of reminds you of Office Space, huh? The movie? TPS reports? Guess you're too young for that, huh?
Well, I was still in diapers when you were, getting back into diapers.
Yeah, well, this old geezer could probably help you with those. You know all the codes by heart. Let me know. LMK.
Sure. If I need help, I'll,
I do indeed. Hey, Mary, I wonder if you could help me with something. Minecraft.
Listen, Gary. I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm not 12, and I have reports to process.
Hey, I'm just trying to get through to a friend.
Get through to a friend? That's a song lyric.
Yeah, 20-pound sledge. They were in town last week,
Yeah, I was there. Wait, you weren't...
Oldest guy in the mosh pit.
Oh my gosh, you're a legend.
Try telling that to my grandkids.
So as you can see, 2 are seemingly completely different background people. And the young lady had so much prejudices about, okay, I'm young, what I got to do with this guy. And it turned out that they found common ground ultimately. So it is possible to find common ground and connect. Only then you can do better. So how do you cultivate common ground? These are a few tips. First of all, you need to make yourself available. Be available to the people. Then you can connect better. If you are not even around, then people won't be able to connect. Second, you got to listen better. Listening skill is one of the most important skills in connecting. If you can actively listen, pay attention, ask right questions, understand what you understand and what you listen, all of that really contributes towards connecting. Thoughtfulness, likability, you got to care for people. You need to show that you care for people. If you don't show, then you're not going to be able to find common ground. And lastly, humility. No one is above anyone else. Everybody has got some unique abilities they bring to the table. And that's how you connect. So that's about connecting. Now let me go to next fourth topic that I talk in connecting skills, which is conversation starters. Lot of people have difficulty even to get good conversation start. If you can't even get conversation started, you probably have a tough time connecting. Because not all the time you'll be talking to very close friends and only the people you know. There are going to be people who you need to connect, who you don't know very well, who come from very different background. Probably they don't understand everything you say, but you got to be able to spark conversation. Let's watch a small video with some tips about conversation starters.
A lot of people think that small talk is trivial and annoying. They think that talking about the weather or a TV show is a complete waste of time. Can we skip this chit chat and just get to work? But what they don't know is that small talk could lead to a promotion or even a future job. Small talk is the name given to short, surface-level conversations that we have with people in line at the grocery store, with the person next to us on the bus, or with the colleague that we see as we're walking down the hallways at work. These conversations have a function. They're to build community, especially in the workplace. Here are 5 tips for small talk to help you go beyond. The first tip is to ask questions relevant to the immediate. For example, if you're in the lunchroom, you can ask a colleague, "Oh, how often do you bring your lunch to work?" If you're waiting for the shuttle back home, you could ask a colleague, "What part of the city do you live in?" When you ask questions relevant to the immediate, it feels a little bit more natural, as opposed to being in the lunchroom and asking a person what part of the city do they live in, or waiting for the shuttle and asking your colleague, "Well, how often do you bring your lunch to work?" The second tip for small talk is, when you ask questions, remember to listen. Be careful about interrupting. For example, "Hey Michael, so what are you up to this weekend?" "Oh, I think I'm gonna do some yoga." "Oh really? I do a Iyengar yoga." Iyengar yoga is like the grammar of yoga. It's kind of like you have to get into the pose, blah, blah. This is really common. I recommend showing enthusiasm for small talk by listening. Ask your question, then let them finish, and then you can add what you have to say. For example, you could say, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, I do Iyengar yoga. It's kind of like the grammar of yoga. Have you ever heard of it?" The third tip is to always have a story. Have a specific story at hand in case somebody engages you in small talk. For example, on Mondays, you know what the small talk topic is going to be. It's going to be, "What did you do over the weekend?" So if somebody engages you in small talk, instead of being general and saying, "Oh, not much," you want to have a specific story. It doesn't have to be something extraordinary, like you went bungee jumping over the weekend. It could be something small and meaningful that happened to you over the weekend. Like you went to that new Greek restaurant that opened up in your neighborhood, or you saw a really interesting article on Facebook. This gives the other person something that they can relate to and possibly comment on to continue the small talk. The fourth tip for small talk is to watch the news or read headlines on your phone for about 5 minutes a day. Get to know some of the major topics that are happening currently. That way, if there's a lull in the conversation, you can bring that topic up. But be careful of heavy topics, like politics and religion. You want to steer clear of those topics because if you are talking with somebody that you don't really know, a debate might start. And that's going to make things strangely awkward. The fifth tip for small talk is to be present, to be in the moment. Nowadays, we're so distracted by everything that's going on. We've got our smartphones and our laptops open. Get to the work meeting 5 minutes early and engage people in small talk. If somebody pulls out their smartphone and starts texting away, don't pull out yours. Be present. When you give an invitation to small talk, yes, you're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there. Small talk takes practice and a little bit of courage. There you go, the 5 tips for small talk. Which of these was the most helpful for you? Let us know in the comments section below. If you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook.
So I hope you get the idea that you got to be able to have some good conversation getting started with people you don't know. Only then that you open the door for connecting with others. In fact, the last one of the points it talked about is the read news every day. I had really good experience. I'm normally very much up to date with the current affairs, and I'm very much on top of world politics, country politics, and all that. But I had a French colleague. She visited US for the first time. She was part of my team. And I was very excited to meet someone working remotely from us. And she came and I was chit-chatting and I said, hey, how is your French president doing nowadays? Is the current. She said, I don't really keep track of who the president is. I said, what, you don't keep track of who the president is? I said, do you read newspaper? No, I don't read newspaper. I said, okay. And do you have TV? I said, no, I don't keep TV. I don't waste time on those kind of things. I was like, oh my God, for the first time I met someone who doesn't read newspaper, doesn't have TV. She's got many other different interests and she's proud of what she does. So, well, you will find such people. So, that, and you still need to connect with such people. You can't really connect based on the news of the day with a person like that, but you got to find some common ground. Okay. So that brings to me for you to think about what kind of conversation starters do you use in your workplace? Do you have some nuggets that you want to share with people? You may want to put it in the chat window here. If you have some tips to share, how you start conversations, which is beyond what's the temperature out there. How is the weather? Isn't the weather too hot? None of that. That's very mundane. Okay, Abhijit says stories are the best. Yeah, that's why you got to keep some stories in your back pocket all the time. That is the thing. A lot of people have stories, but they don't remember it the right moment. They don't remember the right stories at the right moment. So that becomes a challenge in opening up with others. Oh, okay, yeah, that's magic tricks. That's good. I have only one tip for you. Whatever you do, conversation starter, don't ask closed-ended questions. Like, how what's the temperature today? Or what's the temperature? What's the typical temperature in your hometown? It was 73 degrees. That's it. This is like, okay, that's a closed-ended question. Very pointed, very specific. Do you like swimming? No. Okay, so then it's very challenging to continue the conversation. So try to minimize the closed-ended questions. Instead, ask something that is open-ended, where it will open up a lot more discussions and there'll be lively sharing of things. And I've got some tips here for you, some examples of open-ended questions. And this is not something I want to go through every point, but these are something for you to get an idea. This will open up conversation and help you connect better. For example, instead of saying, what do you work on? Somebody will say, database project. Instead of that, ask, what passion project are you working on currently? What really ignites you? What was the one thing that energizes you? Describe your ideal Sunday, and so on. These kind of things are not closed-ended questions. These things will prompt people to think and get into a lively discussion with you. Let's move on to our last point. Last point is energy. Connection requires energy. It requires you to take initiative. Don't wait for people to come and connect with you. A lot of the leaders who are in some position of repute, they might think, well, it's for others to come and connect with me. I've got all the power and influence. And what they're doing is doing a huge disservice to themselves by not connecting, but shutting off the door to connections. You got to take initiative. You got to prepare, get clarity of what the person is going to require, what is the motivation, what's the care about of the person. Prepare that in advance and then connect. And have patience. Don't rush things up. Slow down. Take time to absorb what others say and connect better. Just take the example of my connection with Professor Larry Pileggi. It took a lot of energy, and I worked with him for many years. Whenever I came from India to US, I used to travel at that time. He was based in Texas and Austin at that time. And currently he is in CMU, but he used to be in UT Austin then. I used to make it a point to go and connect with him. I used to travel from Dallas to Austin just to meet him. That requires energy. That's a connection. I'll give you another story here about the initiative that I took. Once I was traveling in a train from the city of Baroda in India to Mumbai in India. That time I was living in India. It was about 4 or 5 hours ride in train. I was traveling alone. Then I see a person in the car, in the compartment, and he was sitting alone, and his face looked very similar to a friend of mine. And I knew that that friend had a younger brother. So I got an idea, maybe this guy is the younger brother of my friend, because my friend used to live in Baroda. So I go there, very much like, say, excuse me, if you don't mind, I have a question. And he said, no, I don't mind. Tell me what's the question. And I said, are you brother of Swami Das? I used to know. He said, no, I'm not. In fact, I'm the only son of my parent. But I'm glad that you came all the way and asked me, why didn't you sit next to me? I'm getting bored anyway. And then we hit off. We had like one of the liveliest communication for the next 3 hours. He not only became my very good friend. When I reached Mumbai, he had like about 8 hours spare time, because he was going to go to airport to receive someone, and that flight doesn't come late in the night. So he said, could I come and drop you at the railway station where you catch the train? I really want to be with you until you leave. He was with me for the next 2 hours. He brought snacks for me. He brought tea for me. It's like, it was a great moment. I said, wow, I'm getting like royal treatment here. He was so happy and he connected so well. He's still a good friend of mine. But the fact is, if I had not taken that initiative of going and connecting, it would not have happened. You wouldn't really. So you never know how things are going to turn out, but you have to take initiative. So I am going to skip the next video in the interest of time. And this was about requiring energy. So let me summarize here as we are coming to the end of it. Connecting with others. Effective leaders do these things differently. They have faith in people. I mentioned, if you have more faith in people, the more you can connect. You must exhibit very explicitly that you have faith in people, because as soon as they see that, they'll do more than what you ask for. Second is behavioral pattern. Take time to understand your own behavioral pattern and pattern of the people around you, and customize or improve the way you connect with them, keeping their whereabouts in mind. What do they like? What they don't like? Usually every dominant personality has some likes and some dislikes. You don't want to tread into that space. Third is find common ground. It is possible to find common ground even with people with very different backgrounds. You have to make an effort. You have to be available. You need to show care. You need to listen. Have some good conversation starters in your tool set. Like Abhijit said, stories are great. So keep a set of stories that you can use at the right place, at the right time. And as our video gives some tips about how to use conversation starters. Lastly, put some energy in connecting. A lot of people think connection is not for me, or why do I even need to connect? But the fact is, connecting helps in every situation. And it may not help today, it may help a decade later, like what happened to me with Professor Larry Pileggi. In fact, I'd forgotten about that connection, but it immediately helped increase my influence within Synopsys within 2 weeks of my arrival. With that, let me give you a few references that you can use for studying this more further. I've got 4 recommendations. First one is the Bible of Connecting, which is by John C. Maxwell. Everyone communicates, few connect. That's a book on the leftmost side here on the screen. This has got 5 principles of connecting and 5 practical tips for connecting. And this book is like the bestseller. It's taught in some universities as a textbook as well. And written in a very, very lucid style, readable style. It's not like a conceptual or theoretical book. Second is Becoming a Person of Influence. John C. Maxwell again. He talks about 10 different aspects of qualities or traits that you need to develop to increase your influence. Vanessa Van Edwards is an expert in communication, in body language, in making the right impact. She has got a book called Captivate. It's a fantastic set of tips about conversation starters, how to study people's expressions and do the right things. In fact, her new book has come out. It's called Cues, C-U-E-S, Cues. It's also bestseller now. And lastly, there is a book called Leadership Gold, where John C. Maxwell shares a lot of qualities of great leaders. So I have 3 call to action for you from today's meeting. hopefully you can implement them. First is assess your personality. Spend some time on assessing your personality, so you can connect better. And if you can do this within a month, that will be great. It takes some time to reflect. Ask people around you as well. You don't need to necessarily, you may not know everything about yourself just by yourself. You may think that you are doing this way, but if you ask your spouse, you may get very different answer. So just ask them, ask people around, friends, and family members. That helps in assessing your own personality. There is also an online assessment available. There are some free ones and there are some paid ones as well. Second is try to work on the common ground. Make it a point to find a common ground with someone you don't know who is from a very different background. If you can do that with one person in next 2 weeks, that will be a great achievement. I challenge you for that. Challenge yourself to do that. And lastly, commit one resource. Doesn't matter what resource is, a book or a video, podcast, or training or coaching, whatever you want to do. Commit to something to improve your connecting skills within a week. They're excellent. I gave you already 4 books. I'm sure there are many more books, and not only books, there are podcasts, videos. Vanessa Van Edwards, I talked about, she churns out videos, a lot of free videos. You may start watching that. That will help you connect as well. John C. Maxwell has got videos that is freely available on YouTube and other channels. So take something, commit to it, and try to complete it. First, identify within a week. That's my call to action to you.
Thank you so much, Ramesh. Yeah.
Yes. So that's
Ramesh,
it. So that's all I got here. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Happy connecting.
thank you so much, Ramesh. Ramesh, I'm going to I'm going to buy that book, Captivate, tomorrow, because I'm driving. So I'm going to listen to that book. And the next thing is I want to understand what my boss's personality is, because I understand my personality better, but I don't understand my boss's. So I need to ponder over it and understand so that I can better connect with him.
Yeah.
Thank you
One
so
of the ways
much.
it helped me is also understand my wife's personality. And then I could figure out why sometimes we have disagreements. That's a good thing to know. At least, oh yeah, I know why we were talking differently. Because that helps. So that's something.
And it can also be a conversation starter. If someone, hey, what kind of a personality you are in? Are you a DISC? So thank you, Ramesh. Thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate you.
Welcome. I really enjoyed.
Yes.
Myself.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.